So Helena Grdadolnik is a director of workshop architecture, an architecture and urban design studio based in Toronto that delivers creative solutions to complex design problems for buildings and public spaces. Helena leads the studio's urban design work, cultural projects, and public art consulting. She's a member of the Metrolinx Design Review Panel and the City of Toronto's Public Art Commission. She has worked on public art plans and projects for Kingston and Mississauga, and has also recently been invited to advise on the City of Calgary's public art master plan. So please welcome Helena Grdadolnik.
It's an honor to be here, and really it's been so great working with the City of Markham on the public art master plan. We've met with a lot of external and internal people, like external stakeholders and internal staff members through this process. It's hard to follow the mayor and you have inspiring vision you had for public art, but I'm really looking forward to hearing from the panelists today and then from the members of the public. So I'm going to keep my presentation pretty short tonight. So I'm not going to talk too much about the team. I just wanted to let you know who you're going to be seeing tonight. So as my company Workshop Hired was hired along with urban planners and artist Crazy Dames, who are going to be leading the workshop in the second half of tonight. I have worked, as they said, many cities, more recently Brampton as well, and understand some of the different things that the different cities are looking for. In Mississauga, I helped start the public art program actually as a staff member. So I also understand the kind of the way things work on the inside, as well as kind of the inspiration everyone wants from the outside of what you want to happen. Jenny from Crazy Dames, unfortunately, isn't able to be here with us tonight. She's part of our team, but she's an artist originally from Markham. We also have from Crazy Dames, Sarah, who's going to be leading one of the workshops. And Sarah worked on Markham's zoning bylaw reviews. So we've got a lot of different kind of points of view on the team that really are helping shape this. And Nadia will be the other person from Crazy Dames also. Crazy Dames were the artists in residence at the Varley Art Gallery recently. So a lot of kind of different reasons why I think the city decided to let us help them develop this plan. So what is public art? That's kind of maybe a starting point. Probably a lot of you, I see people on the advisory committee and everything, we don't need to go through this. But I just wanted to start with a definition. And there are a multitude of really broad definitions of public art and theory, but it's good to have a simple definition for a city that sets some basic criteria. But doesn't shut out art forms. And I think that's kind of something important to keep in mind. So I have a picture of Andy Goldsworthy's fault line in San Francisco. This talks about site specificity. What does it mean to have an artwork tied to the site? This wouldn't make sense in a city without seismic activity. It's in San Francisco. It also wouldn't make sense somewhere else. It's outside the De Young Museum in San Francisco. If you moved it somewhere else, it might be like the city didn't fix that crack. When it's beside an art gallery, you kind of read it differently. So I think kind of realizing that context is important. The other example I have here is from LA. This is hand holding a bowl of rice in LA's Koreatown. It's nice to see artwork bring local context to a new development, and we see some of that in Markham and hopefully more of that going forward as well. Other things is, it needs to be in a public space, so not in a private amenity that other people can't access. A decorative planter might be a great addition to the city, but it's not art because it's not by an artist. And these distinctions can be important when we insure pieces and when we look at artist moral rights and things like that. So this is kind of, in a nutshell, kind of what we're looking at. But why? I think kind of more important is like, why are we doing this? And kind of the question right here. It's to make that mark. It helps you instinctively know you're in Markham, and not somewhere else. And just like the other examples on this slide, public art can be a memorable moment for visitors and residents alike. So whether you're driving across the highway and you weren't planning to go to Markham, you see something that pulls you in or makes you want to visit again, or whether you're in Markham, you're a resident, you're here every day, and you feel like a sense of pride from that. That's the why. So some of the nitty-gritty in terms of where we are in this process of developing a public art master plan for Markham. We've spoken to many internal and external stakeholders, from Parks Canada and York University to the development community and staff across departments. A lot of senior staff and the mayor and the CAO have given us a lot of time in terms of feedback and input into this, so that we really make something that's for Markham and not for somewhere else. And today we're presenting our direction so far. This is not the end game. We really need your input to go forward and to go back then eventually to the steering committee and very importantly also to the public advisory committee, and eventually bringing some recommendations to council, with council knowing that we have talked to a lot of people and we have broad support for this. I'm not going to go through too much about the current public art program because I think the mayor kind of really encapsulated that in a nutshell. I do want to say that it started about 15 years ago with a commissioner who's not here, Brenda Libretz, the Commissioner of Community Services. It started in her department, and she really brought this vision to the city and can take credit for instigating that program. Although more recently, the program has moved to sit in a newly created department under Stephen Chait here called Economic Growth, Culture, and Entrepreneurship. The Public Art Advisory Committee has been around since 2003, leading that program, and policies were created and approved about 5 years ago with, as I said, 5 major permanent works, 2 more coming soon, 1 in this area. I don't have any photos of that yet. I don't want to kind of give that away, but it was done through support of Remington, who sponsored that artwork, so you'll find out more about that soon. And I think it's really important to note, as the mayor did, that local developers have been investing in the city's public art. And you can see that with Remington Group's artwork on the side of this building in the photo down below. So we have started putting together a draft vision and objectives for the program, but it's draft. And that's why we're here tonight, to start to talk about it. What's going to happen after the short presentations we're going to go through is there's going to be a few stations. So in this room, there's going to be 2 stations. One which is going to have this, you'll see a poster of that, and I'm going to be standing at that station for you to kind of literally take some markers and cross off words, add things like, what is it that you want to, what is your vision and objectives for the city of Markham's plan? So I'll be leading that and getting your feedback on that. We also have a map where, from all the meetings that I talked about, and based on city plans, we started to put together many potential public art locations, like a long list. But we want to see what you think. Are there places missing? Are there places you don't want to see artwork? Places you'd love to see it? Places you think it should be there first? Any type of feedback like that. We're going to have Elaine Chow from our office, also a Markham resident, will be here with the map in the back of this room as well after, at the workshop part of the night. And in the room outside of here, you see there's some clay, some hair dryers, a bunch of crazy stuff over there. Crazy Dames are leading those 2 tables. And Sarah and Nadia will have you help develop the art criteria and artistic approach to public art for one specific site, the Pan Am Center Plaza. So to end, I'm just going to quickly run through the 5 categories of sites that we started to look at when we were looking at locations, and different art approaches we might have for each to meet those objectives we started drafting. The first is the key civic sites and gateways. We have some examples of types of sites there might be, but also the art that you might see there. For example, you know, if we're talking about the Rouge Park Gateway, is there an environmental artwork that would be a great gateway element for that Rouge Park? You have a lot of villages and history, kind of more recent history here, as well as very long history before settlers came here. Is there a way to mark that, but with contemporary art? And a few of the examples here, which is at the Gardner Museum in Toronto and at the Waterfront Toronto's Pan Am Village, show how you can mix contemporary art with historic themes as well. And the ones over here, I know the Bursey Park Fountain is a favorite of yours, I believe, but also a favorite of mine. And it's there's kind of ways to, with the picnic tables there in Cleveland here, the Grand Picnic, ways to have art that also has maybe functional characteristics that make you stay in a place. So things that we're thinking about, that could be for Pan Am Plaza, for example. Other examples, we're talking about major parks and facilities. Could there be art integrated into these new buildings or new park spaces, like the hands at the San Diego Airport? Some of you may have been to Downsview Park Station, which is Panya Clark Espinal, and if you've got your subway hopefully coming here soon, you can integrate the artwork into there as well. And then other ways to integrate into landscaping around a site, like Fountain here in Thunder Bay. So many great trails. You're blessed with these natural spaces and rivers running through the city, and also community parks. There might be a different approach. Maybe it's art you can discover along a route, or smaller pieces that you can interact with and things like that. I know that when we talked to some of the different departments, there was an idea of making the walking experience in Markham more improved, and to get kids to walk to school and things like that. So how can an art program of elements, whether it's embedded in sidewalks, bollards that can make civic spaces more safe on major roads, or, and I love this one, this Peter Gazendam artwork in Vancouver called A Long Conversation, where there's slugs that you just follow along a route, and they're just small. So artwork can sometimes be really big and iconic, but also can be small and playful along the way. And then the last slide I have, before I let the artists and others talk, is major urban development sites. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of development happening in this city over time. And one of the things that we heard a lot about Markham is it's this high-tech capital. There's a lot of businesses here that are high-tech. So how can we marry that idea of high-tech with digital artwork on development sites, and really kind of focusing on that, as well as on iconic pieces that you could see maybe from the highway. Like in this Langstaff Gateway development, there's going to be a lot of sites and roundabouts and parks where you could visually see that, and it can really pull you in. So having that mix of things over those 5 sites is really important. And what we really want to do is tie public art to what Markham is, and what all of you in residence want Markham to be. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.